Good morning or afternoon, everyone. Today is October 8th, 2015. This is our 46th Mastermind call. So thank you so much for everybody. We got more and more people showing up every week, and we really appreciate you taking a half hour out of your busy days to be with us. We try to give you value to make it worthwhile. As always, guys, you are muted out. If at any time you want to ask a question, if you know you're going to ask a question or if you have a comment, just hit *6 and then hit 1, and you will go into our question queue. And right now it's completely empty. So anybody that has a question, go ahead and hit *6 and then hit 1. Tim, anything you want to share with the group? Any updates from the home office?
Well, let's see. I did get one thing yesterday that I think I shared this with everybody. We have one of our longest customers out there is a fellow named Paul Hayhurst, and Paul has been doing extremely well with our program, and he called me. Actually, I called him yesterday because I've known him a while, and the reason why was on our role play call yesterday. Somebody got on the call and had mentioned, or somebody had mentioned to you earlier in the day that Paul had done 17 transactions as a result of his program, and so I wanted to call him and see how things were going, and that was a pretty great result on pro. And I called him, and in reality, I got a lot of good information from him. He has indeed done 17. He's actually done 20 listings in 17 months. He's, I think, closed on 4 of them. No, more than 4. He's closed on several of them, I think 8 or 9 of them so far, and he's closing about 75% of the ones that he takes as listings. He's bought 2 of the properties himself. He's an investor as well, so he's bought a couple of them. He's also gotten a property management contract out of the deal, and an attorney that received one of his letters on behalf of one of the personal representatives called him, talked to him, and is now referring all of her probate folks that she gets in her office to him as the realtor. So he's extremely happy, and his average monthly cost for doing his letters, because all he does, and he's kind of the lazy man's approach, all he does is he starts out, he gets his leads in, he turns them around quickly, gets his letters out the door, and gets somebody in his office to do a mail-merge effort for him, gets them out the door for him, and he just waits for the phone to ring. He doesn't follow up with phone calls, and he says, it's a lazy man's approach. I'm real busy, and I got a bunch of other stuff going on, but he said, this is a great result for me, and the bottom line is, based on what he's achieved so far, he'll make about $75,000 this year, and he'll have spent about $12,000 to make that money. His average monthly cost is about $600 to do what he's doing, and he'll make about $75,000. So that's just on the list side.
Last time I talked to him, he was sending 1 letter. Is that just 1 letter? Is that all he's doing, or is he doing 3?
Nope. He sends out 1 letter.
Yeah. So.
And we don't want to suggest any of you downgrade the program, but he's getting ridiculous results with pretty much a minimum of effort. So,
well, and he did point out. He said, I know I could even be doing better, but he said, this is all I really have time for doing right now. And he said, if this is all I do with it at all, he said, it's a great investment. And he said, yeah, I might be able to get, change the 70 to $100,000 a year for the same $12,000. But he said, I'd have to give up some more time. And he said, I'm managing properties, and I'm a developer, and I, rehab as well. And he said, so I'm super busy. But he said, I've certainly got time to do this. So he was excited about it.
That's great. And I had conversations with 2 of our clients, Enron in New York and Bob Brzezinski. If either of you are on the call, would you hit *6 and then hit 1?
I think it's Budzak. I think his last name is Budzak, Jim.
Budzak, okay. Close. Bob Budzak. I had an interesting conversation with Enron in New York. It was actually the week before last, but he was this is just kind of the opposite of Paul Hayhurst. He's in an extremely competitive market in Manhattan, New York. Everybody gets multiple letters from investors, from realtors, and he was grumbling a little bit. He's been with us for 8 months, and he's only done 2 closings. And I said, Enron, what did they both close? And he said, yeah, I took 2 listings. They both closed. And I said, what were the prices, he said 1.6 and 1.8. So we did a little math. He's spent about as much as Paul, and he's made more money than Paul because he's doing a very upscale product. So, it's like those old disclosures. Results do vary around the country, and just because Paul is getting remarkable results just with mailings, we don't want to suggest that you guys do that. Guys, please *6 and hit 1 if there's any questions. Chad, we had a great role play call. Hopefully a lot of you were on that yesterday. It's our second monthly role play call where we all got together and just practiced things that are coming up on the calls. And it was kind of interesting because our biggest issue was getting objections, because the people, for the most part, they either hadn't started making the calls yet or they just weren't getting very many objections. And let me see if this might be Bob on who just signed in as a question. Hang on. Is that you, Bob?
Yeah, I had a question. This is Oscar from Ventura.
Hey, Oscar, could I put you on hold for just a second? And
Sure.
You're next up, okay? Hang on just 1 second. All right, well, good. We've got a questioner. I just wanted to share Bob's experience before we do that. Bob is an ISA for a very successful agent. He's been in the business for a month, and the agent ordered these leads and told Bob, you're going to make the phone calls. And Bob's biggest fear was the thing that we hear from so many agents, like, oh, am I going to be perceived to be an ambulance chaser? And it was very gratifying. He said that he has yet to have anybody get upset with him. He's actually found the people were very nice and very receptive. And Chad, do you remember his first mailing? He got his team got 3 appointments. They took one of them. 2 of them weren't quite ready yet. The one he took referred somebody else to him that the team listed. And then he was listening to our calls, and he contacted a local attorney who they've kind of made friends with, who's sending referrals. And I thought this was brilliant. He's also gone out to a couple of the nursing homes and handed out his card to the nursing home director, because very often, not all the time, but very often people will go to a home first and, they'll decide to sell the property before they pass away. And is that an accurate representation of what he said, Chad? Can you remember anything else?
Yeah. It's the only thing you missed is he started out with, he had 60 leads, 34 conversations resulting in 3 appointments, 2 listings, 1 from a referral, 1 from probate, and then the other 2 were widows who weren't quite ready to move, and he expects to list those down the line. So that's one round of the sequence. That's 1 list, 1 letter, 1 call. So
and the thing he had in common with Tammy and I, he'd only been in the business a month. So right. That's great. And Chad, I didn't let you, we got Oscar on there, and you may have other things to share, but Oscar, since you're up, thank you for volunteering. What's your question?
Well, I sent out my first mailers. We had 26 that we went out, and we got 8 of them back. And I didn't know if I'm sending them to the PR address. Is that the right address that we're supposed to be sending them out to, or?
Yeah, I'll take this one if he goes. So that's really unusual, Oscar, because we pull the addresses directly from the fresh probate filings at the courthouse. So
okay,
almost never. Because the personal representative is going to give valid contact information. It's you're getting it within 30
right.
days and then get to the court. So I think we need to take a look at that, and maybe you can talk to Tim offline about what stamp was on the return mail. I know personally I tracked my first 4,000 letters in my market, and I had 6 returns out of 4,000, and I quit putting a return.
That's why I thought maybe I okay. Well, I thought maybe I sent them to the wrong. But yeah, you know what? I'll make copies. I'm gonna scan the front of the envelopes, because a lot of them said return to sender, unable to forward, not at this address.
If you could make a PDF of those and send it.
Yeah, I could do that. Absolutely. I just want to make sure I'm doing the right thing. It's our first one, So.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll send those out send that to support, Chad.
Yeah, support at all the leads, and Tim and I will take a look and try to figure out what's happening, because that's really uncommon.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Oscar.
I'm sure it was me.
No, not necessarily. And you know what, guys? And we really want you to point things like out like this to us. If people are human, and we have researchers all over the country, so you know, if the data is not, it's very unusual that we get you data that isn't good. So either Oscar, either 6 of those people have moved since the probate was filed, or there's a problem with the data on those, and we'll get to the bottom of it and figure out which it is. And anytime you guys have issues like that, let us know. And the easiest way to get any answer to any of your questions is support at all the leads, because we got 4 varied skill sets with the partners. We all are good at different aspects, and we've got some employees now. But if you send it to support@alltheleads.com, everybody will read it. And the best person to be able to help you will get right back to you with a good answer. And we'll research that, Oscar, and we'll get back to you.
No problem. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. Again, guys, questions, hit *6 and hit 1. Chad, while we're waiting for questions, anything else that you want to add? I never gave you an opportunity.
I will be sending out the October Probate Mastery Group sign-up late this week. The next session starts on Tuesday the 13th, and it'll run the next 3 Tuesdays. So session 1, 2, and 3 will be on Tuesdays at 2 o'clock. So if any of you guys are interested, we already have 4 people that have signed up that will be in that course, just through conversations or contacting me. So we'll send out the invite later this week if you want to jump on those classes. They are they're live sessions, they're video recorded, so if you happen to miss one, it'll get emailed to you immediately following the session, and you can always jump into one next month. But if you guys want to do that, I'll be starting the next October course on Tuesday.
What's the cost for that?
It's $250 for the group sessions, and one-on-one with just me and you is $500.
And every time we mention that, I feel compelled to tell everybody that this is nothing that you have to do to be successful with the program. We've had so many requests for advanced training that Chad did a remarkable job of really putting together a comprehensive series of sessions that results in you getting a probate certification. You know, it's something extra you can hang on your wall, put on your business card. And it's just extra knowledge that you have about the probate process, but it's certainly nothing that you need to be successful to go out and take listings. So it's an add-on.
And guys, the strong testimonials that we shared at the beginning of the call, I mean, Paul Hayhurst has never done the training. He just did the fast track, which is the training that we give you as a subscriber. And Bob, you know, he only did the fast track. He hasn't done the probate mastery. I mean, we've got a ton of success stories from people who have done mastery, but if you just focus on the subscriber resources area and the training that we provide there, you know, you can get some people just want a higher level of training and want the certification. So it was something that we kind of created out of necessity, but definitely not, you don't have to do it. If you just watch the fast track videos, and if anyone on the call is new and you haven't done that, go to subscriber resources and watch every one of those videos. You'll get most of your questions answered.
And Chad, that I thought for not having many difficult situations, I thought that role play call was really good. You and I kind of invented things that we had heard, and there was a couple people that participated. Is there a place that, if people missed that, is that on our website yet, or will that be posted somewhere on the website? Yes,
we'll post it on the Facebook Mastermind group, and we're switching over the audio player on our site because we've had some trouble. So it's not in subscriber resources yet, but it will be. Okay,
perfect. And tell everybody, if you're not a member of the Facebook group, how they can do that.
If you go to Facebook and in the top search bar, you can search All the Leads Mastermind, and it is a closed group, so you can, if you're not a member already, you can click Join Group, and we'll approve you.
Excellent. We have 2 more questions. Area code 479, you're up.
Well, good morning or good afternoon. This is Roger Lisi, and I've signed up, about 2 weeks ago. And
so how many listings and how many closings so far?
I haven't got a list yet.
just kidding. Welcome to the group.
Thank you. But I did take your. I'm about halfway through the fast track stuff, and I took it to heart. I've already started working on local investors that are looking for a good deal, and back-ended into one of my clients, a mover he sends me leads and I send him leads on moving. He sends me people who he contacts or are looking to move. And he said there's a house right across the street that I'm interested in buying. So I backed into a probate issue right there.
Nice.
And so I made my first call to an attorney because the family didn't want to talk to him about making an offer on the house. And so at this point, they're having an auction for the personal property on the 24th and the 25th of this month. And I said, would you like for me to go ahead and show the property? I may be able to come up with an offer on it. And he said, well, I'm not sure we need to be doing that before the auction. And I looked at him and I said, why not? And he said, what? I said, don't you love the thought of having the house under contract and all you're doing is emptying out the personal and you've got a closing date for the property? And he just looked at me and it just kind of, oh my God. And I said, I don't know that we're going to get a contract, but at least we'll have an offer in your hands that you can present to the family. I'm talking to the attorney. And
Great.
I said, I am new. I'm the first one in this market that is doing probate. And then I started just pulling crap out of the air to give myself credibility.
Okay.
Take it till you make it, Roger.
Credible crap is good.
And it sounded pretty good. I don't remember what I said.
Good for you. That's great.
But then he started educating me, and he said, well, that's, I get a few in probate, but are you working on trusts? And I said, trusts? Of course, I'm aware of that, and I'm working toward that. Please explain to me the difference between probate and properties and trusts. And he said, executors, and it's very similar, but it doesn't have to go through court, and it takes about 2 or 3 weeks to get through probate if the family's all available. Blah 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 blah. And I just made a mental note of. I don't know how you find somebody that's dead and has their property in a trust on something along those lines, but it's something that I'm going to be investigating, and maybe I can enlist you guys to help me with that question. Absolutely,
and one way you do it is exactly what you did. You call a probate attorney and in the conversation, tell them you can do trust too. That's brilliant. Go ahead.
Well, really,
Go ahead,
Roger. The only way to really do that, so if you say you pulled an obituary and you saw that Jane Doe had passed away, and you go to the tax records and search Jane Doe, unless they name the living trust of Jane Doe, it's probably not going to come up even in a county record search. So I think with trust, because they don't go through public filings, the best way for you to kind of build that part out would be to just network with estate planning attorneys. And that's one of the things we suggest, I think, in the fast track. That's where Bob got the idea for networking with program administrators at nursing homes and retirement, extended care facilities. Those kind of things you can do to capture the same situation that's not actually coming through probate records. So through networking with estate planning attorneys, program coordinators at those facilities, financial planners, people like that, you can get into those trust situations and people who are selling before, the inevitable. So you can really expand on the opportunities by meeting those people. It sounds like you're doing the right thing. I mean,
Yeah, congratulations, Roger. I wanted to share one other idea, and forgive you people that are on every call. I've mentioned this a couple of times, but I just thought it was so smart. You mentioned that the estate sale, they're having a personal property for the estate sale. When is that going to occur?
The 24th and the 25th of the month.
And I've mentioned
I'm planning on being there.
Yeah, thank you. We had an agent one time that said she showed up for the estate sale, and just because she was curious, and she met 13 of the neighbors, handed out her business cards, and listed 3 properties in the neighborhood, because when there's a garage sale or a basement sale, whatever you call it in your neighborhood, everybody shows up in the neighborhood and buys each other's junk. So it's pretty much, it's kind of like a way of going door to door in the neighborhood, but they're coming to you. So that's a really smart way. Stand there with a handful of business cards, and just the fact that auction's going on there, they're going to attribute it to you, and you're going to really come across as somebody who specializes in out of the box thinking, in doing things a little bit differently. So that's great. That's a great story, Roger. Thank you. Tim, anything? Did you want to add something?
Yeah, the other thing I was going to say is that the conversation that you have with the person who's selling the house, who said they've got, going to auction and all that, also tells you something else, that a lot of people want to maybe get that step in some sort of an order. And one thing that you can add to your arsenal of things to say to them is, not only can I provide you potentially with a buyer to pay cash for it, but I can also potentially find you with a buyer who will pay cash and might be interested in the contents of the property as it is, rather than having to go to an auction or disposal company. Let's take a look. I'd like to come out and take a walkthrough so I know what's there, so I can properly present it to my buyer. And that's another way to get you in the door with that person. They think, well, I don't have to do anything. I may just be able to sell this house straight up. And we talk about that in one of the letters we recommend that you send, which is a disposal company who will maybe sell the stuff you don't want to take, and deal with the rest of it. But you may also find that you'll find a buyer who'll just take it all.
That's a great point, and I know somebody like that. I've used him for years. I just tell my listing sellers when they're moving out of town, don't do a garage sale. Call Ken in Springdale. He'll come out, pick it up, put it in a lot, and he's got four states worth of flea market operators that he does auctions for personal property in his auction house, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because I have not called on Ken as a possible investor for this stuff, and getting both at the same time, and doing it that way. Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Alrighty.
Great. We have one more question, guys. Perfect timing. We've got about 5 minutes left in the call. Area code 850. You're up.
Yes, it's Michael Henson in Milton, Florida, and I'm thinking about signing up. And I've got a question concerning your probate certification. Are you going to any links to get that accredited for NAR or any local boards? And I'll stand down after that.
We are, and it's a long, not so easy process. So that's the big goal, is to start getting it accredited for continuing education. And then once we gain traction there, to move it to an NAR designation.
So the answer is yes, we're working on it. I'm guessing we're probably 6 months away from that at least. Would you say, Chad? I know it's hard to say, and it's got to be done on a state-by-state basis. But we probably will start first in Florida, California, and Virginia, where we're physically located. So, and we'll bring you up to speed when that actually happens.
Okay, so if you're working in Florida first, and you think realistically we're talking 6 months before we're accredited, is that correct?
I just pulled that out of the air, kind of like Roger did with his answer, because honestly, we actually have someone who has been successful that we just started talking to a couple weeks ago, who's been successful in getting a short sale course certified in virtually every market in the country, and we're looking at bringing him on as a partner to get that accomplished with the certification. And Tim, you said you have something you want to mention about that also?
Yeah, I mean, there's no way to guarantee any kind of timeline on that. And here's the honest truth. We're trying to put the training out there. We're more concerned with making sure that we offer great quality training and that what we do sets a standard in the industry for the capability of it. Once you've done that and you can clearly demonstrate to, other states and other areas that the people that are doing this get value from it, they are more capable, they do learn more, you've got a better shot of doing it. You can't just walk in and say, hey, I've got this course and, I want to go do this. There's a lot to it. And I've done one level of certification for real estate training through the state of Florida previously, and it's a process for sure. There's a review process and all of that. And our highest level of use right now is to make sure we continue to deliver the training. So I don't want you to think we're guaranteeing you're going to have some sort of a cert, but we'll certainly make you money in the process.
Okay, if you do get accredited in the state of Florida and you're signed up and you've gone through the courses, do you think it would be possible to be retroactive? In other words, the people that have already signed up
Partner, I could say that's probably 100% no, and the reason why is that until it's accredited, there's no approval process, so they won't be willing to approve training that's already happened.
But we're not going to double charge you if you have to go back through the material.
Thank you.
Yeah, if that was the question, certainly we'll take care of that for you. That's not a problem.
Yeah,
Okay.
That'd be like if any of you've ever had to do driver training because you got a ticket, you just kind of go online for 14 hours. We could do something like that for you. Fast track you through it the second time.
Yeah, we won't make you go through it for 14 hours. We're going to do the right thing.
Yep. Great questions, guys. I think we have one. Do we have one more? Hang on a minute. Area code 479. Are you back, or is that a new one?
It's me, and I just had a point on the last conversation about certification.
Yes, sir.
The points that came across my mind was look for states that have reciprocation of real estate licenses, and number one, and number two, the state boards of professional education. I know that's what's the case here in Arkansas. A lot of the certifications are going through the state or continuing education certification through the State Board of Professional Education, and look for states that'll do recip on real estate licenses on your certification. That's all I got. That's just an idea.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Guys, Roger, we are accepting resumes.
Roger could be our coordinator for that. Guys, we probably have time for one more question. If not, I'll let you all get back to work. We try to keep this at 30 to 35 minutes. Let me just say, as somebody I'm kind of the guy that about 5 or 6 years ago had this crazy idea and called a few of my friends, and it took us longer to get here than we wanted, but I personally couldn't be more happy about where we're at. We're every week we are getting 2, 3, 4 just glowing testimonials. We have a lot of people that are really starting to do well with this, and we're growing. And as we grow, we want to keep the quality there. So we really appreciate you people, everybody who shows up and contributes on a weekly basis. And I do not see any other questions. So, Tim, Chad, anything you want to say in summary? Shall we all get back to work?
I think getting back to work is good. Good.
Chad?
Yep. Just thanks to everybody that showed up and gave their input and brought questions.
Yep. Thank you so much, guys, for taking your time. I always like to end these calls by saying take one idea like Roger did, like Bob did, like so many of you have, one idea that you got on this call, go put it into action, this week, and come back next week and share your testimonial, share your win with us. You guys have a great week. Thanks so much for coming today. We'll talk to you next Thursday.